Hey, welcome to After She Left. Watch till the last second. Don't miss it. Subscribe.
She walked in like she owned the room. Hair up, lipstick sharp, blazer red enough to make stop signs jealous. Tanya always knew how to make an entrance. That day, she didn't just walk into the award hall, she landed like a plane arriving on time and full of secrets. I was near the back row, setting up chairs. Just another humble task before the ceremony started. The new regional director's supposed to shake hands and pass out plaques, not wrangle folding chairs, but I liked staying grounded. I'd only been promoted a week ago. Nobody in the room knew it yet, not even my wife. I heard her heels before I saw her. Then I looked up. My throat tightened. No ring. Just a smooth left hand, fingers curled around her clutch. And somehow that bare skin said more than words ever could. I kept my voice low. Forget something? She didn't even flinch. Didn't match the outfit, she said, glancing past me toward the podium. Didn't match the outfit? Like our marriage was a pair of earrings. I nodded slowly, not trusting myself to say more. Then Rick showed up, her boss. Or should I say Rick the Rick, because that man oozed smug like it was cologne. Always leaning, always smirking, always one joke away from an HR complaint. He was posted up at the side of the podium, arms crossed, tie loosened just enough to scream, "I want people to think I'm fun." His eyes tracked Tanya's hand. He grinned. "Looks better that way," he said, pointing subtly at the missing ring. She laughed. Loud. Too loud. I stood there, holding a stack of certificates, my name right on top, and felt my stomach twist so hard I nearly dropped the whole pile. I didn't say a word. Just watched the two of them. Rick leaned in. Tanya touched his arm casually like it meant nothing. Maybe it did. But I'd seen enough of these little moments over the past few months to know better. I backed out of the conversation, walked toward the refreshments table, and grabbed 2 cups of coffee just to keep my hands busy. I needed a second. Hell, I needed a whole new timeline where I never married a woman who could laugh like that at a line like, "Looks better that way." She didn't know yet. Didn't know that I was the one running this show now. That I'd be standing on that stage in less than an hour calling out her name for a regional promotion. She thought it was just another notch in her belt, one more step toward whatever future she'd mapped out behind my back. But it wasn't. This wasn't just a company award. This was her exit plan, the next title on her resume before she ran off into the sunset with Rick or whoever else made her laugh that way. But she was wrong. Because I wasn't just the husband anymore. I was her new boss. And when I handed her that plaque, I wasn't going to say congratulations. I had something else planned. Back at the podium, Rick was now whispering something in her ear. Her head tilted toward him, smiling like they were the only 2 people in the world. My hand clenched around the coffee cup. A part of me wanted to march over, demand answers, blow it all up right there in the middle of the event hall. But another part, the smarter part, waited. Watched. I'd been patient this long. What was another hour? The rest of the room filled up slowly. I greeted employees as they came in, kept my tone cheerful, hid everything under a tight smile. I didn't even flinch when Tanya gave me a quick wave like we were co-workers at a networking event instead of 2 people who'd shared a bed for 8 years. The AV guy gave me a thumbs up. We were 10 minutes from showtime. I glanced at the certificate stack again. Her name was second to last. Just where I wanted it. Right before the big regional announcement. She thought she was about to get everything she wanted. But I was going to give her something else entirely. And for once, she'd have to accept it with both hands. Even if one of them should have still had a ring. It started slow. So slow I almost missed it. Tanya had always worked late sometimes, quarter-end pushes, sales blitzes, all that. But a couple months back, it went from late night to don't wait up. She started throwing out phrases like client dinner and networking event like they were part of her new vocabulary. Said she was just doing what it takes to hit her bonus. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But then she changed her phone passcode. That was new. She claimed she updated it after some security briefing at work. Fine. Maybe. But that's also when the gym obsession started, new yoga pants, makeup in her gym bag, a sudden interest in protein smoothies. All this from a woman who once said, "If I have to sweat for it, I don't want it." One Friday, I suggested lunch. I had a gap between meetings and thought it'd be nice, something simple. She looked surprised and then just smiled. "Wish I could," she said, grabbing her keys. "Already made plans with the girls from the office. We're hitting that Greek place downtown." I said okay. Gave her a kiss on the cheek. Watched her walk out the door in that tight navy dress I'd never seen before. That's when I got in my truck and drove across town. I don't know what I was expecting. Maybe to catch her lying. Maybe to catch myself being paranoid. What I didn't expect was to find her at a sushi bar on the other side of town, not Greek, not with the girls. Just Rick. They were sitting in a corner booth, 2 glasses of wine already half gone. She was laughing like she didn't have a husband at home. He leaned in too close. She didn't pull away. I stayed in the truck, parked across the lot with the windows down and my heart pounding like I was the one doing something wrong. I didn't take a picture. I didn't knock on the window or cause a scene. I just watched, hands gripping the steering wheel so tight they ached. That night I didn't say anything. Just asked her how the Greek food was. She said, great. Lamb skewers were amazing. I nodded. Didn't even flinch. I was already past anger, moving into something colder. At home, she became a shapeshifter. Cold one day, sweet the next. Some nights she was chatty, asking about my day, other nights she went straight to bed without saying a word. When I reached for her under the covers, she mumbled, I'm just exhausted, and rolled the other way. She never touched me first anymore. Then came the calls. Quiet ones. Midnight and later. Her phone would buzz, she'd sneak into the bathroom and whisper with the door closed. I started keeping track. I checked our phone records one night while she was out running errands. Rick's number was all over them. Dozens of calls. Texts too. Some at 2 in the morning. Some just a few minutes after she'd told me goodnight. She wasn't even trying that hard to hide it. Like she assumed I wouldn't look, wouldn't care. I started keeping receipts. Literally. Gas station slips, timestamps, tracking every time she said she was one place and turned up somewhere else. One afternoon, she claimed she had a client meeting at the hotel near the airport. Said she wouldn't be home until late. But when I drove past the hotel that evening, there was only one car in the corner of the lot, Rick's silver BMW. She was in the passenger seat, hair down, laughing at something on his phone. I didn't go over. I just drove away and circled the block, trying to swallow the acid rising in my throat. At dinner that night, she asked if I could grab her dry cleaning the next morning. I have to wear the gray pantsuit for Monday's call with corporate, she said. I stared at her, pretending to be engrossed in the sports highlights on TV. Sure, I said. Whatever you need. She didn't even notice the way I said it. She thought she was subtle. Thought I was dumb. But the truth was simpler than that. She was gambling that I wouldn't notice. Or worse, that I would, and I just let it happen. It happened on a Thursday night. I wasn't trying to catch her. I really wasn't. I'd come home from a late meeting, kicked off my shoes by the front door, and heard her voice coming from the bedroom. The door was cracked just an inch. Just enough. She was on the phone, pacing. The floor creaked softly under her heels. I froze in the hallway, still in my work clothes, holding a takeout bag that suddenly felt a lot heavier. She laughed, then said, no, seriously, if I play this right, I'll be out of the house by New Year's with a new title and a bigger paycheck. My heart stopped. She was talking to her sister. I recognized the voice on speaker. But it was Tanya's tone that made my blood go cold. That confident, calculated little edge. The way she said play this right, like she was talking about a poker hand and not our marriage. Her sister's voice came through the phone, muffled but clear enough. And what about your husband? I don't know what I expected Tanya to say. Maybe something fake and sweet. Maybe a lie. But she just laughed again and said, he's good at staying out of the way. Not my husband, not his name. Just he. Like I was furniture. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I just stood there, staring at that inch of light between the door and the frame, listening to my wife make plans to leave me behind like an old suitcase. She said something else, something about timing it with the Q1 budget rollout, and then her voice got softer, more serious. I just need the title locked down, she said. After that, I'll tell him. He'll be fine. He doesn't fight. That was it. That was the moment I stopped being confused. Stopped making excuses for her. All the late nights, the secret texts, the cold shoulders, the ring she didn't wear anymore, it all clicked. She'd already decided to leave. She just didn't want to do it empty-handed. She wanted the title first. The promotion. The leverage. Something to boost her next job hunt or her next relationship, probably both. And I was just the guy in the background. The husband-shaped safety net. I backed away from the door without a sound. Walked down the hall like a ghost. My food sat untouched on the kitchen counter while I stood in the dark and tried to slow my breathing. I kept thinking about her laugh. The way she talked like this was all normal, like using me, lying to me, making exit plans behind my back was just part of the process. She never even said my name. I didn't sleep that night. Just stared at the ceiling while she snored softly beside me like everything was fine. In the morning, I made coffee. Kissed her cheek. Told her to have a great day at work. She smiled and said, thanks, babe, like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't already started packing her life up in her mind. That was the day I started making my own plan. Not to beg. Not to fix things. To flip the script. If she was playing chess, fine, but I'd been playing the long game. She wanted to leave on a high note? Get the title, grab the new job, ride off into the sunset? I could work with that. She wanted out. But I'd be the one holding the door. Tanya always thought I was content playing support. And for a long time, I let her believe it. While she was busy climbing the ladder at her branch, smiling for every happy hour photo and flirting her way into corner office conversations, I was doing the one thing she never paid much attention to, the work. Real work. The kind that didn't come with flashy presentations or big company dinners. Just numbers. Results. The kind that gets you noticed in rooms you never even knew existed. That's how I found out the regional director role was opening up. Quiet posting. Internal candidates only. 2 levels above her, but within reach if you knew where to look. Tanya never did. She was too busy aiming for the next rung on her ladder to realize there was a whole different set of stairs. I applied. Did the interviews between meetings, over lunch breaks. Didn't even tell my closest coworker. I kept my LinkedIn untouched, my office door closed, my mouth shut. After the 3rd round, I got an email from the VP, the one she always name-dropped at parties but never actually met in person. He'd seen my performance data, my regional project outcomes, and the turnaround I led during the last merger. He said, "You've quietly built something impressive. Let's talk." One Zoom call later, it was official. I was the new regional director, and I would now be overseeing her entire department. The irony wasn't lost on me. I didn't update my email signature. Didn't wear a suit to the office. I kept playing the quiet husband, letting her think nothing had changed. She came home one night, giddy from a pre-promotion conversation she had with Rick. "I'm basically a lock," she said, tossing her heels in the corner. "Rick says I've been outperforming everyone." I nodded. "That's great." She kissed me on the cheek, already halfway through a glass of wine. "You should come to the awards thing. I might actually get promoted." I smiled. Wouldn't miss it. The quarterly meeting was already on my calendar. I'd made sure of it. When HR asked who should present the awards, I volunteered. Said it'd be nice to connect with the team in person after stepping into the new role. Tanya still didn't know. She had no idea I was the one now signing off on her evaluations, reviewing her metrics, deciding who got bonuses and who didn't. She was too focused on Rick, too sure of her charm, too wrapped up in the story she was telling herself that she had it all figured out. I requested the final award lineup a week before the event. Reviewed each name. Cross-checked performance data. Tanya's name was on the list, barely. She'd done well. I wasn't going to take that from her. I wasn't here to sabotage her career, just to show her something she didn't see coming. I made sure her name stayed right where it was last on the list, just before the final regional announcement. I stared at it for a while, that one line, Tanya R. promotion to area lead. She'd earned it. As a worker. As a strategist. Just not as a wife. In the days before the ceremony, she didn't change. She still left the house in tight blazers and came home smelling like expensive perfume and wine. She still checked her phone in the middle of dinner. Still talked about Rick like he was the only person in the company with a brain. And I still listened. Still smiled. Still nodded along. She thought she was climbing higher. But I was already on the roof waiting. All she had to do was show up. Walk across that stage. Smile for the crowd. Accept her plaque. She had no idea who'd be handing it to her. And when she found out, it wouldn't be the title she remembered. It'd be the man standing behind the podium. The one she thought she'd already left behind. The award hall was packed. Suits, name tags, handshakes, clinking glasses, the usual corporate theater. Tanya sat at a table near the front, next to Rick, who looked like he'd stepped out of a car commercial. His tie loose, shirt just tight enough to show off the gym membership he never stopped talking about. They didn't see me when I walked onto the stage. I tapped the mic once. "Good afternoon, everyone. I'll be presenting this quarter's performance awards and regional promotions. Let's get started." Heads turned. Whispers. A few people sat up straighter. Tanya's smile froze the second she saw me. She blinked, then glanced at Rick like maybe she'd misheard. Rick looked stunned, like someone had swapped his cocktail with a punch to the face. I didn't flinch. One of the things we value here is growth, and today we're recognizing a few folks who've gone above and beyond. I moved through the list, handing out plaques, shaking hands, smiling for cameras. I saved hers for last. And finally, I paused just long enough. Tanya R., newly promoted area lead. Polite applause rippled through the room. She stood slowly, smoothing her skirt, her heels clicking against the hardwood as she made her way to the stage. I held the plaque in both hands. Watched her walk toward me with that careful smile she always used when she wasn't sure who was watching. She reached the podium and extended her hand. I didn't give her the award right away, just leaned in close enough that only she could hear me. You'll need both hands free now for court. Her breath caught. She flinched just barely, but I saw it. Then her hand trembled. She reached for the mic with her other hand, and that's when it happened. A soft clink, like a coin dropped on tile. Her wedding ring. It slipped from her clutch where she'd hidden it and rolled across the stage toward the edge. The whole room went quiet, dead quiet. No one clapped. No one moved. I bent down slowly, picked it up, held it between my thumb and forefinger like it was some rare artifact. This used to mean something, I said, loud enough for the mic to catch it. Not anymore. I set the plaque on the podium, handed her the ring like I was returning a pen someone borrowed and forgot to give back, then turned and walked off the stage. Her hand was still outstretched. She stood there, red blazer, wide eyes, silent. The audience didn't know whether to applaud or breathe. Some shifted uncomfortably in their chairs. Rick looked like he wanted to disappear through the floor. The silence did more than 1,000 angry words ever could. I didn't stop walking, just left her standing there with the spotlight on her and nothing to say. By the time I made it to the lobby, I could hear the chatter starting to pick up. Quiet, urgent voices. People piecing together what they'd just seen. I stepped outside into the cool afternoon air, took off my name tag, and dropped it in the trash can by the door. A few moments later, I heard the faint thud of someone rushing in heels. I didn't turn around. "Todd," she called. I kept walking. "Please," she said, closer now, her voice cracking. "It's not what you think." I stopped then, turned slowly. She was breathless, makeup smudged just a little, clutching the plaque to her chest like it might protect her from the fallout. "Don't," I said calmly. "You played your part. I played mine. We're done." Her eyes filled, but I didn't care. "Not anymore. You humiliated me," she whispered, as if I was the villain in this story. "No," I said. "You did that yourself. I just handed you the mic." Then I walked away. The sun hit my face as I stepped off the curb, and for the first time in months, I didn't feel heavy, didn't feel small. I felt done. Inside, she was still standing there with the award in one hand and the past slipping through the other. She'd spent months trying to rewrite the ending, but I gave her a different final scene, one she'd never forget. She blew up my phone that night, 15 texts, for voicemails, all of them some flavor of panic, excuses, and forced affection. "Todd, please, can we talk? I swear it wasn't like that. You're blowing this out of proportion. This is still fixable. Isn't it?" "No, Tanya, it wasn't." I didn't answer, just forwarded everything to my lawyer. The next day, I sat across from her at a quiet corner table in the office lobby, a manila envelope between us. I didn't touch my coffee. She didn't touch her tears. "I don't want to fight," she said softly, eyes wide, mascara already smudging at the corners. "Let's just talk through this." I slid the envelope across the table. "What's this?" she asked, already knowing. "Your copy," I said. "Petition for divorce. I've already signed." She blinked, stunned for a second. "You already filed?" I nodded once. "Don't you think this is a bit fast?" she asked, her voice rising just enough for the receptionist nearby to glance up. "After everything we've built?" "You mean what I built," I said. "You were just rehearsing your exit." She sat back, her face crumbling in slow motion. "It wasn't an affair," she mumbled. "Rick and I never, it wasn't physical, okay?" I almost laughed. "Emotional cheating still counts, Tanya. Especially when it's got a 5-year plan and a budget." She dropped her eyes. Said nothing. By the end of that week, HR had launched a quiet ethics review, not because of the scene at the awards, but because a few anonymous complaints about Rick had surfaced afterward. Apparently, Tanya wasn't the first subordinate he'd mentored a little too closely. Two other women stepped forward. Different branches. Similar patterns. Rick resigned 2 weeks later. No speech. No farewell lunch. Just an empty office and a LinkedIn post about pursuing new opportunities. Tanya got demoted quietly. Something about restructuring. She put in her resignation the following Monday. She tried to spin it like she was starting fresh, maybe going freelance or looking into consulting. But I knew the truth. She was running with no destination. I didn't bother asking where she went. Didn't need to. Word got around fast in our circles. She ended up renting a one-bedroom in a rundown complex on the edge of town. No gym. No concierge. Just cracked sidewalks and neighbors who slammed doors at all hours. She sold her car a month later. Too expensive to maintain even with the payout from her unused vacation days. I heard through a friend in accounting that she was taking Ubers to job interviews and telling people she just preferred ride shares. I kept the house. Kept the company car. Kept moving forward. We never spoke again. Not once. No calls. No emails. No surprise run-ins. When the divorce was finalized, she didn't even look up from the papers. Just signed. I did the same. Her lawyer tried to push for alimony. Mine shut it down with a single spreadsheet. She walked out with her clothes, some kitchenware, and a few framed photos I didn't ask her to return. I didn't even want the ring back. That part of my life was done, boxed up, burned down, and buried under a stack of legal documents. I didn't gloat. I didn't post anything. Didn't tell people what really happened unless they were close enough to deserve the truth. But the ones who needed to know? They knew. The hallway whispers. The uncomfortable stares. The people who used to laugh at Rick's jokes now avoided eye contact altogether. The company moved on. So did I. Tanya, though? She lost more than just a title. She lost the audience. The spotlight. The story. Now all she had was the silence and the echo of what she gave up for a few months of attention and a promotion she thought would save her. Turns out that promotion came with a cost. And I made damn sure she was the one who paid it.